You're listening to a fine vintage episode of One More Sip of the Garden Mixer, our after-hours show that drops every other week between bigger sips. Interested in newer releases? You can find out how to become a paid subscriber on Substack and get exclusive access for a whole year when you support the show. Gardening shouldn't be boring. More at thegardenmixerpodcast.substack.com. Now back to Vintage One More Sip. Is it a weapon or is it a tool? We are discussing botanical Latin today on One More Sip of the Garden Mixer.
I'm Leslie Harris. She's Marianne Wilburn, and you are already our really good friends because you are supporting us on One More Sip, and thank you. And let's just launch into this information. If you're listening, so what?
Let's just get to the point.
I mean, let's go, baby. We don't need
on.
to tell them to rate us
How
on
great they are.
podcasts,
You guys are great. We love
platforms,
you.
and we're sending you the love by going right to the information. So I love the weaponization of botanical Latin. I picture a passive aggressive mother-in-law saying, "Well, you know that that it's not peony but peonia."
No, I've been in groups. I have certainly been in groups in my day. And there are probably people going, hey, you are the group doing that. No, I'm trying not to. But I have certainly been in places where it's being used to sort of judge. People are throwing out names to, oh, is that an Aurelia caudata? I've never seen it this far west of the Rockies, that type of thing. And they're just throwing it out, throwing it out, throwing it out. And you start to feel like, you're trying to throw your knowledge out. And that's really not what this is for. This is for communication. It's a dead language that means that it's not developing, it's not being spoken as a language that develops over time. But it's to help us communicate better as gardeners. And you're missing out if you're not at least trying it, or you're putting it down to the snobby people do that, because it's the smart people who do that, because they can actually communicate about the plants that they want to source for their garden, right?
Yeah. You can really make a big mistake by saying, "Oh, I'd like a daisy." Well, exactly what is a daisy? I mean, there are a million different daisies. So it can get you very specific very fast. At the same time, I truly recommend going with the easier name if it is very clear. You don't have to say digitalis. You can say foxglove because everybody knows what you're talking about. Sometimes it goes backwards. I have a fabulous favorite that I love to grow. It's called, and I think I learned the common name one time and quickly forgot it, but it's called Coryngosoma palmata, and that is a mouthful. And people look at me like, "Oh, now you're just being like that, aren't you?" But I don't know really what else to call it. Sorry.
Kringashoma. And what is Kringashoma? It's the wood. It's not a wood
Maybe
poppy, though,
waxy
is it?
bells or something
Oh,
waxy.
waxy bells. That's
Yeah,
right.
so
Yeah.
I'm sticking with Coryngosoma. It's not essential. It is important, especially if you wanna go shopping, and it's great to learn because it helps you with plant identification. A case in point is that, Marianne just was talking in our fabulous foliage plants in the regular episode about polygonatum, which she says polygonatum, by the way. I don't think she's incorrect. I don't think I'm incorrect. I mean, I don't think it matters, but it's very clear that we're both saying the same word. I was saying regerencia because I think of an E as being a, and I taught Spanish for years and years, and I speak Spanish. So I see an E, I want to go A. Regerencia. She's like, no, Roger, regerencia. I think she's probably right. It doesn't matter. We understood each other. But with the Polygonatum odораtum, I'm like, whoa, wait, does it smell good? And I never knew. And I quickly looked it up. I mean, it's not like I know Latin. I didn't take Latin. I took Spanish, but I'm like, odor? Let's go find out what this is all about. It's kind of fun that way.
Yeah, because it's not just about being able to source the plant after you've lusted after it and you've gone to the nursery and you want to make sure that they know what you're talking about. It's also about learning those roots and those words, like you said, can teach you something about a plant or help you make inferences about that plant if you're reading about that, either
Hmm.
online or in your books. And a great example of that is like where it's from.
Yeah.
We have Miscanthus sinensis that we were talking about over and over, and there's some bad ones and there's a few good ones, and I know there's a lot of people who don't think they're all good, but just that sinensis on the species name after Miscanthus, which is the genus name or genus if you're in the UK, uh, is telling you it's Chinese, sinensis. There's another word that means Chinese as well, and I'm not going to remember it. I can't remember it, but or Canadense, which means, North
From
America. It's a
Canada.
North American, yeah.
Well,
Well, it is I think
meh,
it's
ish.
yeah, and I think if I looked it up, I should actually look that up before I shoot off my mouth. But I know that if I see Canadense, I'm looking at a North American native, whether that means Canadian or North American. Or if I'm looking at something that says repens, Ajuga repens. I know that that means creeping, that
Mhm.
repens. So I know that's really low to the ground. Now, Ajuga is low to the ground, but if I'm looking at a polygonatum that is humile, Humile, I don't know if it's humile or humile. It is a sweet one, and it means low growing.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's going to be lower growing than a lot of the other taxa in that particular genus. So, what's another one of those?
Hirta.
Herta, that's another one. Yeah.
And why do I say Hirta?
Um,
I don't know, because I is E in Spanish. It's probably Herta.
yeah, who knows? Or who's hirsutus? If you're, it means hairy.
It's so
So the
hairy.
Rudbeckia,
Always makes me
it
think of my
means hairy. It
father.
means
The hairiest hands.
such a
Dad.
heady-handed
I
man.
know.
These roots, once you learn them or you start to see them over and over again and you make that connection in your head, it helps tell you more about a plant. It can also tell you about who discovered it, like Amsonia or Brunera,
Tradescantia.
Scantia from John Tradescant,
Mhm.
and a great botanical explorer of the 18th century. I'm saying 18th, I'm going 18th, right? Yeah, 18th. Yeah? Yes.
Sounds
I
good to
get my
me. I love
getting
it.
like we're not doing clear up corner for this, so I better just say it the right way. Or Mandevilla, which is a good one to remember because I always wanna say Mandevilla
Me too.
because I grew up with bougainvillea,
Mhm.
but it was Mandeville who this
So
plant
we
was
should
named
not.
after, and so
Oh,
it's
Clivia.
Mandevilla.
Clivia, which many people call Clivia,
Clip
but I do think
Mhm.
I think that was named after a dude named or a person, probably a dude named Clive, so I go Clive. But as long as people can understand you and you can understand others, it does not matter. Clematis, clematis, tomato, tomato, all is well.
So if you look up those roots, and here's a couple different great ways to do it. And I have had this book for a long time. This is a Gardener's Book of Plant Names by A.W. Smith. It's an old one. It's from like 1963, and it has all of those roots really easy to grab, almost like an old, just like an old dictionary. But if this is, I mean, Leslie's eyes just glazed
No,
over
no, I was
looking
just
at
waiting for
this book.
this is a book moment. Where's the this
It
is a
is a
book.
book moment. Oh, I'm sorry. This is a book moment with Marianne. But recent years, there has been a really fantastic book out called The Gardener's Botanical. This doesn't go on YouTube, does it? So nobody can see my beautiful
No,
book.
it cannot see it. So describe.
This is the Gardener's Botanical, and it's by Ross Baton, and he's out in the Pacific Northwest, Dr. Ross Baton. This is a gorgeous book, and if you've been looking for a book that's not just going to give you these root words, and tell you where they came from alphabetically, but also give you some beautiful illustrations, some lore about different genera, all that different thing, then this is the book you wanna get. It really is great to have on the shelf. Another book that really helps me, which is a really surprising where the source is coming from, this is by Eva Monheim. She's a friend of mine, Shrubs and Hedges. Eva is a fabulous teacher. She's always been such a great teacher. And you wouldn't think you're gonna get binomial information from Shrubs and Hedges, but she is a teacher, so she goes through very, very carefully what the structure of binomial names are. What does it mean by a form? What does it mean by a species, by a subspecies? How is it written out? And it is the best explanation of that I've ever seen. And plus, you get all these great shrubs and hedges. This came out in 2020, I believe. So still pretty new, Eva Monheim. So I think that's my book moment finished. If you want to get into the real, I got another one here. If you want to really get into it, this is Botanical Latin by William Stern. This one's going to give you a lot more than just some definitions and a glossary. It's also going to give you declensions. It's going to give you a lot of that Latin that you either flunked out of in high school or never had because you went to a country school like I did. And we were lucky to get French, on Tuesdays. All right, that's been a book moment with Marianne, but we should go on. So, what are the best ways do you think to learn besides, just looking up things in books? What are the best ways to learn the names of your plants if you really want to get better?
I would say what makes it stick in my mind is to just literally grab a pen or a pencil and write it down on that label that I'm never gonna make. Yeah.
I was going to say, do you mean labels,
Yeah.
Leslie? Do you mean labels?
No, but as I really had to get it right when I was running my business. I had to Although it's ironic, some things you just ignored, mostly for annuals. You totally ignored any of the botanical names, and you just went with pansy. Foreign languages come and go in your mind, and I know this very well because I was absolutely fluent when I was in college, and then I started teaching 3rd grade and had a couple of babies, and I was speaking mostly English to all those people. And then years later, I go back to teaching Spanish, and I'm like, "Wait, how does this work again?" But it comes right back. It ebbs but it flows back quickly. And you could do that with Latin too. If you're like, well, I used to know those names, but I'm not, no, I'm not interested anymore. Don't worry about it. But if you are interested, it'll come right back. How do you tend to learn them?
Labels is a great one. Just making the act of writing it down and labeling it, and then putting it out in the garden and seeing it. That's the very first way I ever started to make an effort. Was in my little house plant. My house plants. We had this little flat in London, and I took post-its
Huh.
and put them on the pots of all of the different house plants because I just decided I'm just every time I glance at that pot, I'm going to see it and I'm going to see the name and it's just going to stick in my head. And it did. And I've been a big fan of labels ever since because you do forget some of those names as you go along. Also, reading.
Yeah.
We should be reading things that challenge us just a little bit, that push us on. I know that culturally, right now, it's read quick stuff, look at fast shorts, all this sort of McDonald's for the brain. But as you get older, especially, you've got to be working that brain and don't we dumb ourselves down? Yes, but I know too many people who say, "Oh, I can't do that. I can't do that. It's not for me." It's like, no,
You can if you want to.
challenge yourself. You
Yeah.
can if you want to.
Yeah.
Depends on how much you want to, and is your career involved in it, and that type of thing. So just challenge yourself in your reading. Look at articles where you have to underline or circle something and go back and look at it. That's a really good way to do it. Just becoming more familiar. And when you mention the polygonatum. That's a polygonatum. It's not a Solomon seal. It's polygonatum. And the more you say it, the more it is. And
But that's a
you
tricky
know,
one because everybody knows what a Solomon seal is too, and it's only one thing. As long as you can make
right.
yourself clear, how dear do you hold proper pronunciation? Is it like essential for you, or do you feel like, oh no, there are options?
Oh, there are options. Absolutely. I mean, I'd rather be making myself as easily understood to whomever I'm speaking to. And that's really the best way to do it and to figure out what that pronunciation is. So if it's andropogon, if that is actually the way everybody says it, and it's not andropogon, then I'd probably rather say andropogon. I personally love to say schizocarium. And I also love to say shazacrium. So I'm really torn with that one. I don't know which one is actually the best. It's probably shazacrium, I
It
imagine.
is Schizacrium, and it is Andropogon, according to a source that I think is decent, but again, as long as you can make yourself understood. The source, and we mention it often, is the Missouri Botanical Database, and there's a little microphone symbol by most plant names, and you touch it, and some man or
And the
bot,
little
a
man.
little man who I used to make when I did this podcast before on my own, I would say, and on Mobet, it's Schizacryum scoparium, and that is the way he talks. Syringosoma palmata. I don't know in what basement they keep him, but he's giving you what is generally held to be at least unaccepted, maybe the accepted or the more accepted
Mhm.
pronunciation Fine Gardening Magazine gives it a go with the written schwa e's and,
Yeah,
accent
phonetic
it's
spellings of
right,
things, and
yeah.
they do that very well at the end of the magazine so that the plants that were mentioned in the magazine itself, that episode or that episode, boy, I'm forgetting what magazines are during during that issue are there for you to look at, so you can just quickly go back and I do that often actually is turn back to see if I don't know how to pronounce that one every once in a while. So pronunciation is only important if it's going to stop you from using it. Then it becomes important in your brain, falsely so. It's important for communication, just to be able to communicate. And if somebody is using it as a weapon, as my mother used to say, you don't need those kind of friends.
Oh, no.
Move over to somebody else because
Yeah.
some of the most humble, wonderful, gentle, and educated people in this business that I know are incredibly down to earth and are not going to hold your toes to the fire.
Yeah, yeah.
They won't even joke with you. It's going to be your friends. Like Leslie is going to hold my toes to the fire because she can and we can have a giggle. But if you've
Rejoursia,
got
rejoursia.
somebody who's consistently correcting your pronunciation or making you feel small, yeah, you just move into another
Oh,
group.
yeah. As my son says, "Mom, you can either correct people's grammar or you can have friends. Which will it be?"
Right. Now, also remember one of the best ways to learn is to give yourself a little aid memoir or a mnemonic device. The first proper garden plant that I learned the Latin name from, I was probably about 21, and it was a Photinia fraseri in a friend's garden. And I said, what is that? He said, a Photinia. And I'm like, Photinia, Photinia. Okay, trying to remember. And he said, "Just remember, it's so beautiful and red, you just wanna take a photo of it." I'm like and that has always stayed in my mind. Now we can't do that for every name, but sometimes it helps
No.
a little bit. Do you have one of those?
Yeah. Yeah, on the ones that I continually forget, and I have this annual plant that is, come back and self-sown in some of my pots out front. I was too lazy to buy anything else. I'm like, "Oh, that stuff is coming. What is that stuff?" It's like Jewels of Opar or something is the name. But that's difficult, and I'm not quite sure that's right. It is Telainum. I'm like, "Okay, how am I always forget that word, Telainum." And, it's a lime green fleshy leaf with these cool tiny little plants that really will make you have plenty of Telainum babies, but it's a cool plant. So I'm like, "Okay, it's so pretty that you could make tiles with it because it's a very pretty plant." So Telainum, that's sort of
Make
that helps me.
tiles?
You can
Yeah.
do that, yeah.
Anything that it takes to help get these in your mind so that when you go to the nursery, you know that you're asking for an Aurelia cordata instead of an Aurelia racemosa, which is something very different. Or you're asking for a Polygonatum odoratum instead of a Polygonatum. And if you say, I just want a humili. So if you just want to say, I just want a Solomon seal, who knows what the hell they're going to give you? It's this little thing.
Probably the most common one,
Yeah.
but there are giant ones, there are small
Yeah.
ones, there are not variegated ones. So, yeah, I mean, do yourself a favor and learn as much as you can to get by. Don't do yourself a favor and don't worry about vegetable names, right? Holy
Yeah,
cow,
don't
I don't
I
even know
don't
what they are.
think at this point that people worry about that. We don't say, what is a tomato?
Uh,
Lycospirian? Lyco
Paul Westervelt, where are you?
Paul, where are you when we need you?
He would
See,
know,
there you
he
go.
would know,
Nobody says that.
and
Now it's
nobody
nice to know
cares.
that capsicum is pepper, right? Because when you see
Yeah,
it and other
that's
things,
true.
but that's great. But you don't need to know what lettuce is or beets are or what have you, unless you're trying to remember families and, similarities. It's nice to know that they're all in a family of solanum, tomatoes and peppers and potatoes. But yeah, you can just call a pepper and a melon a
As in
melon.
all gardening, do what makes you happy. Don't worry about what others are doing.
Yeah,
All gardening.
but we're still telling people to learn the names. I think push yourself a little bit
If
here.
that makes you happy to learn the names. If it makes you more
Oh.
happy. Oh, okay. So here we are, 2 people who have different opinions. Are we surprised? Huh, huh.
I
Let me
say
think
push
about this.
yourself a little. Just sometimes it's good to be it's like as Andrea Gasper, my travel partner says, it's good to do things that are hard. it's good to do things that are hard. And sometimes things that are hard are a little uncomfortable and we don't really like them at first, but they make us stronger and better in what we do. So it doesn't mean that you make gardening miserable for yourself because you're just trying to learn Latin names all the time. But it means pushing yourself a little bit to learn those names might actually open and expand your horizons. And I think that that's a good thing.
I think that you are very wise to give that advice.
You're so foolish.
And I think everybody is free to ignore it. Okay, I think we've done it with one more sip of the garden mixer.
Thanks,
Thank you
folks.
so much for listening.